Want to welcome in our next guest here on Ducks Digest, four-star Oregon wide receiver commit, Isaiah Sategna. Isaiah, super excited to have you on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Super excited to talk to you. We got tons of stuff popping off with the Ducks and recruiting. So just kind of wanted
Mhm.
to get your side of things and, try to tell a little bit more of your story. So, kind of just to start here, walk me through your recruiting process a little bit. You committed to A&M,
Yes, sir.
earlier on, and then, decided to open things up. And less than a month later, or maybe it was just a month later, I feel like you made your decision, and now it's Oregon.
Yes, sir. So I got my first offer last February. So it was like 2 weeks before COVID. I got my first offer, and then I started getting a little bit more attention because like before I got that first offer, I hadn't talked to one coach. So it really took me by surprise whenever Arkansas offered me. And then I had some other schools hitting me up and stuff, and I wanted to go on some official visits, but obviously COVID shut that down. So then I ended up committing to A&M before the dead period ended. So I went there and was like, I don't know if this is the right place for me. Then I went to Oregon the next week and fell in love with it, decommitted, and was like, I have a USC visit next week. And if I end up liking USC, I'm gonna go there. But if not, then I'm gonna go to Oregon. So I was fine with decommitting and ended up being a dud.
Right on. Yeah, it's just crazy. I think, with how long visits were shut down, we're
Yes,
really
sir.
seeing, with this explosion of commitments, all it really takes is, you get on campus and you find that right spot and,
Yes, sir.
things can kind of line up.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, now that you're committed to Oregon, we talked multiple times throughout your recruitment, and I just kind of wanted to hear it from you. What's your favorite thing, about Oregon? What really sold you on this decision?
I would say just the opportunities there. I mean, there's so many opportunities with school, with football, being coached by Coach Brian McClendon, who I think is the best in the game right now. The opportunity I'm gonna have for track, just Nike being there with Phil Knight and the NIL and the new rules and stuff. So I just feel like there's just a lot of opportunities at Oregon.
Yeah, certainly a lot of opportunities. You bring up Brian McClendon, and he's really had a good track record of sending guys to that next level. We're still kind of waiting to see that at Oregon, but
Yes,
I
sir.
know that he's one of, like you said, one of the best in the game. When you dropped this top two, right, Oregon and USC,
Hmm.
historic Pac-12 rivalry that oftentimes carries onto the recruiting trail.
Yes,
I think
sir.
an interesting angle to look at here is, you have USC, which is definitely like up there with wide receiver use, right? You got Robert
Hmm.
Woods, Juju, Amon-Ra St. Brown this past year. And then you have Oregon, which has had some talented wide receivers, but doesn't have the history at wide
Yes, sir.
receiver. So just kind of break it down for me. How do you kind of evaluate that when you're looking at Oregon and USC?
So that was a big thing that stood out to me, and I really liked USC because I mean they play with 4 and 5 receiver sets. So even if you're lower on the depth chart, you still are going to be getting a lot of balls and stuff. And they throw the ball about 45 times a game. And I mean, not too many people are doing that. So I was really impressed with USC. And they're like, yeah, Oregon's not putting anybody in the NFL and stuff. And we're putting guys in the NFL. But whenever I really looked at it, I mean, the coaches at Oregon haven't been there that long. Coach BMAC has only been there for, I think this is his second year. So they're kind of like they were telling me like stats and stuff off of other coaches. So I don't feel like what they were telling me was accurate because Coach BMAC is putting people into the league, but he was just at a different school. But he's still doing the same exact stuff at Oregon. So I feel like there are going to be some people going to the league at receiver at from Oregon in the next couple of years.
Totally. Yeah, you got guys like Devin Williams. He's looking really promising. And some of those freshman receivers that they brought in look
Yes,
just
sir.
so polished, and they haven't even played a game yet. Um,
Yes.
when you're I think one of the things that kind of stands out when I've talked to other receivers about McClendon is that they kind of make it just so personal. Like, I was talking to Tetaroa McMillan. He said the first time I was on
Mhm.
campus in Eugene, that was when we first started talking football. Tell me about McClendon kind of as a coach and what your relationship's like with him.
So whenever I went on my visit, we had a position meeting, and he just showed me how they would be using me, what drills they do, like what a practice looks like, and just his coaching styles. And my parents and I were just so impressed. Like what he showed didn't compare to any other schools. Yeah. So I was just like, I need to be with Coach BMAC. Like right now, I feel like I'm just raw talent. I haven't had like a personal trainer before. I've been to one football camp, and it's just because football has always been my second sport. Track has always been my main sport. But now I feel like I'm getting a lot better in football. And I felt like I needed to find that coach, the receiver coach that I feel like is was the best at teaching, but also cared about his players. And I feel like I found that in Coach BMAC.
Absolutely. Yeah. The attention to detail is something that really stands out all the time. And I definitely want to talk about track. We're going to get to that.
Yes, sir.
But now that you're committed to Oregon, or you're living in Fayetteville now, I believe you told me you're originally from Texas.
Yes, sir.
But, Eugene's kind of its own unique place, right? And I think people see all the big time sports with Oregon, and then they get to Eugene and they kind of say, "Whoa!" They take a step back, like this is the home of the Ducks. This is where it's all going down. Tell me about kind of
Yeah.
what you think of Eugene and how it compares to maybe some other places.
So I mean, my top two, like you said, was USC and Oregon. And LA and Eugene are a lot of different places. But I'm from Austin, Texas. So that was more like LA to me. And I live now in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So that's more like Eugene, like a smaller town, a college town, just like more chill and stuff. And I feel like I wanted to be in the big city again, but I was fine with being in a smaller city because I feel like it's gonna help me be more focused on sports and stuff, and help me not forget why I'm in Eugene, and that's to play football, run track, and go to school. So I feel like it's gonna help me a lot going to a smaller school and not being around so many distractions.
Yeah, I've heard that that narrative before. With other big time athletes that have chosen to come here. So it's cool to hear it from you, and I think that definitely lines up. I've been here for just about a year now, so I feel
Okay.
all of that. Um, in the past, with that historic 2021 Oregon recruiting class, they had a hashtag on social media. I don't know if you saw it, but it was Take Flight 21. And I feel like now that you guys are popping off in 2022, I just wanted to ask, since you talked to the guys, is there any talk of a hashtag? Do we maybe have that coming in this class?
We haven't, or if they have talked about it, I don't know about it. But yeah.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to ask you, see what was going on there. And then this is kind of my last recruiting question. Um, you talked about how it kind of all took you by surprise. I think you said Arkansas was one of your earlier offers.
Yes,
What's
sir.
it like, just mentally being a kid and having all these big time schools coming after you, coaches blowing up your phone, reporters like myself, asking you for interviews and stuff. How do you kind of manage all that? What's that like for you?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's definitely a blessing from God. Without him, I wouldn't have any talent, wouldn't have any offers, wouldn't have any coaches hitting me up. So I definitely give him all the glory. But I mean, it's just a blessing. Like just having at one point, I would have like 15 coaches like texting me at one time, and I would just be showing my friends and stuff, and they would just be blown away. Or like I would get a call, or like let's say I get like 3 calls in a row from different coaches, and they're just like, "Wow, like that's so cool." And what like my favorite thing really about getting recruited is I can put other people on to schools. So I try and do that as much as possible, try and get my friends recognition, because like I feel like it's not fair that I have this many offers, and like my friends and stuff don't really have any. So I just try like a lot of small schools that follow me on Twitter or hit me up. Like I just try and put my friends on them.
Love to hear that, man. Yeah, sharing the attention and trying to kind of get
Yes,
other people
sir.
some opportunities. And now I kind of want to shift over to track and learning more about you
Hmm.
as an athlete, right? You're I feel like you've made your name with for speed, but I
Hmm.
think you do some long jump as well. I saw,
Yes, sir.
you're kind of all over the place when it comes to track. But my question I wanted to start with is, when did you realize, hey, I think I got some burners. Like I can outrun some people.
Hmm. So I've always done track. Both my parents, they ran track at LSU. My mom went on to the Olympics in 1992. So it's kind of in my blood. My older sister, she ran track at the University of Texas. And I've just always been around it. So like it's just been natural to me. I don't have to try as hard in track as I do in football. And I mean, I have my dad, so he's been head coach at University of Texas. He's been an assistant at Texas, assistant at Arkansas. So these are the top programs in the nation. So I can go to him with whatever I need and he'll help me. And that's a blessing for sure. Cause I mean, not too many people have that.
Yeah, yeah. So you grew up around the sport and constantly refining it. It's kind of cool because I feel like a unique angle is being able to have one of your parents as a coach. I
Yes,
never had
sir.
that. I had my team mom was there. She was always cheering me on. Shout out to mom. But that's an awesome angle. And when you look at your track career and kind of how you developed as an athlete, how do now that you're looking at the opportunity of doing that at the highest level at the best program, how do you kind of reflect on that and how far you've come?
Well, let me finish your answering your question. So in the no, I was 10 years old was my first time doing summer track. So I only did it because my older sister, she was a senior and she like needed a better time in the hurdles. So she started doing it and I was like, well, I want to run track too. So I started doing it and I had to run up a year. So I was running with the 11 and 12-year-olds whenever I was 10, like because the way that my birthday fell. So I turned 11 like one day before the national meet. So that was the only day I was 11 running with 12-year-olds. And I ended up getting seventh in the nation in the 80-meter hurdles and then 11th in the long jump. So after that, I was like, wow, like I feel like I could really do something in the sport of track. And it really made me work a lot harder, getting seventh and 11th because I mean, I'm not satisfied with that. I want to get first in everything I do. So that really gave me the motivation I needed to work harder, and I mean that carried over in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's cool. It started from a young age and then you were always pushing yourself,
Yes,
even
sir.
going, but I like that angle of the story that, your sister wanted to do it. So, hey, let me get in there and see, how I
Yes,
can
sir.
do.
And then I was always like better at the hurdles and long jump, and I still am. Those are my best two events, but I started getting faster in the eighth grade. So after like I didn't run like the 100, 200, any of that in like all of middle school. And then ninth grade, I'd ran 100 for the first time and I ended up running like 10.8 and I only ran it like three times that year. So I was like, wow, like 10.8. I mean, that's not super fast, but like I haven't even been training for this. Like I've just been training for the hurdles and long jump. So I feel like I can really make a name for myself. And then my sophomore year, indoors in the 60 meters, I ran 686, which is it was like the number 20th time in the nation throughout all grades. And I'm actually better at the 100 versus the 60. So I'm like, wow, I can't wait for outdoor season. I'm dropping 10.3 in the 100 this year. And then COVID hit, didn't get my season. And then my junior year, I got hurt. So I only ran in two meets, the conference and then state meet. I didn't run very good, just because I didn't have any training or anything. But next year, I'm definitely coming back for revenge.
Oh yeah, got always. I feel like that's the cool part about track. And I swam in high
Yes,
school,
sir.
so it's like a very time oriented sport. You're always kind of going against yourself and trying to get better with
Yes,
that
sir.
time. Um,
Yeah, because Arkansas, it's not. I mean, obviously, it's not as good in track and sports and stuff. But that's what I like about track. I mean, you know exactly how you do. Like you have an exact time, so you know how good you're doing versus other people in the nation. Versus like football, I mean, you can have like let's say 1,000 yards, but 1,000 yards in Arkansas and 1,000 yards in Texas is going to be different. Like it's going to be a lot harder to have 1,000 yards in Texas, but if you run 10-3 in the 100, it doesn't matter where you are.
yeah, speed. Speed talks, and it always shows up.
Yes, sir.
And then, one of the cool parts about modern college football, I saw some crazy stat with the draft. It was like, I don't know if this is right, like 20 something first rounders played multiple sports in high school. Um, and I just feel like that's such a cool aspect of this all because Oregon had Devin Allen. I'm
Hmm.
sure you knew about him.
Yes,
They had
sir.
Tony Brooks James. What's that kind of like for you, knowing that you're going to be, a part of that? You're going to strap on the pads and then you're going to be sprinting in Hayward Field.
Yes, sir. So my dad, like I said, he was a coach at the University of Texas. So I would go to the national track meet in Eugene, Oregon every single year. And I remember watching Devin Allen run, and I'm like, wow, like that dude plays football too. Like, and he's running track, like winning all this. Like, that's what I want to do. And then I saw him in 2016 at the Olympic trials, and I was blown away. Like, he's doing this good, and he's only in college right now. And then he ended up quitting football, and like you don't see that too often out of people like that do track and football. Usually, football is the main sport, so like that really blew me away. But I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're gonna do both in college? Like, there's no way you can do that." And I'm like literally, there's people at Oregon that have done it before me, so I'm not worried about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome that you had that, previous example and you've been to Eugene because I think a lot of
Mhm.
people, see this and are like, well, hey, he's coming all the way across the country. What is he doing? Like, why wouldn't he stay closer to home?
Yeah, yeah. So another thing about that is a bunch of people are like, "How come you're not going to Arkansas?" Like they just assumed I was going to Arkansas, and I was kind of confused. I was like, what's so good about Arkansas? Like they went like 3-7 last year. Like they're not doing anything. And then I feel like all my friends are like, yeah, if we had like as many offers as you, like we would all go to Arkansas. And I feel like the people that live here, like their just ties to Arkansas is just really, really strong. And me being from Texas, living there for 15 years, I didn't really have that connection to Arkansas. So I don't know. Like that was the reason why I didn't go to Arkansas. And everybody, like a bunch of coaches from around the nation and stuff, like they all just assumed I'd go to Arkansas. Like they'd be is it worth our time recruiting you, or are you just gonna go to Arkansas? I'm like, no, I promise you, I'm not going to Arkansas.
Okay. Yeah, I know
Yes,
you got to
sir.
take a trip out there. Just had
Yes,
a couple
sir.
more for you, man. Just you're heading into your senior season. One last ride. Just kind of want to talk about, we talked a little bit about the football scene in Arkansas, but you have any goals
Hmm.
for your senior year? What are you looking forward to the most?
So I mean, right now, my biggest thing is to get 100% healthy. Like I said, I had the big 2-day 7-on-7 tournament, and I was feeling really good. Like my ankles what's hurt right now, but I feel like I was like at 70%. But at the same time, I haven't really got that training that I wanted to like over the summer so far because I've been trying to get my ankle right. So like right now, I don't really feel like fluid in my routes, but I mean that's for sure gonna come. I still have like a month and a half to our first game, so I'll be ready for sure. But I would say my biggest goal is, I mean, to win state, and then personally, 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns.
Dang, there we go. Yeah, I know you had some crazy stats from last year, and you got to score in every game. So always trying to up it.
Yes, sir.
The question I want to end on, Isaiah, I just asked you all these questions about football, but it's always fun getting to know recruits a little bit more than just as athletes. Who are you? What do you like outside of football? Your faith is very important to you from the sounds of it, but tell me about kind of who you are as a person.
Yes, sir. So every Sunday, I go to church. Our church is like 3 minutes from my house, so it's pretty convenient. Um, I go to the pool sometimes, hang out with my friends. I live on a golf course, so I just like riding my golf cart around on it. It's like one of the nicest, or they said it's the nicest course in Arkansas. So it's just really cool just driving on it and seeing it. Like when the sun is setting, I like driving on it. Um, I would say I'm pretty much always in sports. Even whenever I'm not playing football or something, I'm watching highlights on my phone, watching highlights from let's say last year during football season, just seeing what I did and what I can improve on, what I did good, and how I can make that even better. Um, we always have like either sports center, track, football, or basketball on um, in my house. And actually, my cousin he plays for the New York Knicks. So during this basketball season, that's the only thing we watch.
Dang, yeah, you guys got ties everywhere. Parents ran
Yes,
track at
sir.
LSU, dad coached, rooting on the Knicks, man. This is a crazy athletic family.
I know. I would say I got the best genes in Arkansas.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. Well, Isaiah, that's all I had for you, man. Great, finally getting to meet you over Zoom,
Yes,
and really
sir.
appreciate you taking the time. Wish you all the best, and excited to see what's next for you, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.